giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast. And here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about what it is that you're actually known for and what it is you really want to be known for. So this week on the podcast, we're going to do things a little bit different. We are going to start the conversation here, but then I invite you to join me over in the Facebook group, because if you're listening to this the week it drops, we're actually going to be continuing the conversation on Friday with a Facebook Live that we do in there each and every week, so that we can really drill down and get to the difference. Because I don't know about you, but when I hear people talk about picking a niche, or you've got to be known for this, or you got to be known for that, that's all fine and dandy. And I hear a lot of times where it's like, oh my goodness, I'm known for this, or I want to be known for this, or why am I not known for this? But yet that's not actually what you intended to be known for. So this whole conversation, while I've been kind of percolating, okay, let's just chase a squirrel for a second here. I have a notebook, and the only thing that goes in that notebook, and yes, it's a pretty notebook, and it's one that inspires me and everything else. So, pick one that you really like. But anyways, in this notebook, every single page that's in there is a different idea, a different thought. And I have a lot of thoughts, but it's a different thought for what I could possibly create content around, whether that's a podcast episode, whether that's the weekly lives that are taking place inside the Facebook group, whether that's social posts or whatever it is. Actually, this notebook is primarily lives and podcasts. And what I do with that is that I start with an idea. So I knew that I wanted to talk about something in the space of talking about your niche, talking about what it is you're known for and things like that. But then something happens somewhere else completely unrelated, and it sparks a whole new train of thought with that. I would encourage you, if you do struggle with, what do I put in my emails? What do I put in my social? Like, if you're just trying to figure out what to do for content as a whole, start yourself one of these books, whether you call it a journal, you call it a notebook, whatever it is. It's just some place that you get those ideas out of your head, because if you're anything like me, there's a good chance that you have an amazing idea as you're headed to bed. And then and you're like, oh, that is so good, I'm totally going to remember it in the morning. I never remember it in the morning. That's why this book sits beside me at my desk all day while I'm at work, and it sits on my nightstand at night. So it kind of goes with me where I am. And in the event that it's not with me, it goes into my phone, so that the moment I'm in front of my book again, I get to put it in there. But let's go back to the story I was telling. In the Facebook group, would that be? Oh, it'd be last week. We were talking about Halloween, and I had a post, fun size, full size. It started this whole conversation about how much candy do you give out? How many kids did you get? Things like that. Then there was this amazing person in there named Shannon, and she was saying that she gives out pixie sticks. I'm like, well, that's cool. She goes, actually, we're so well known for it that the kids come and they call me the pixie stick lady. And I'm like, wait, that is so cool. And then, of course, it triggered my memories and things like that of my childhood. There used to be a neighbor that had this whole stack, and I will never forget it, because it's this whole big stack of fresh, brand new $1 bills. I don't know how many kids he used to get, but that was a big stack. I've never seen a stack of cash that high. And I've done a lot of things with money over the years, whether it was cashier or waitress, whatever, fundraisers. I've never seen a stack of cash that high in one denomination, and they were brand new bills. Like, that was the part that sticks out in my head, like, as like this little 5 or 6 year old. Now, fast forward to being an adult, looking back, I'm like, was it really that big? You know what? I'm going to let my little 5 or 6 year old heart and brain remember it as being a ginormous stack of cash. But they were these brand new crisp bills. And then as we got a little bit older, and up here in Canada, they got rid of the paper dollar bill and they went to the loonie. That's our $1 coin. And yes, we call it a loonie. Guess what they call the $2 now? It's called a toonie. Anyways, and And then when the $1 went away, then he went to the $2 because he didn't believe in the coins. He wanted those fresh, crisp bills. But that's what he was known for. I also had another neighbor that was known for, if you went over there and you were super quiet, at some point he would just nod and it meant you got to go and get yourself a chocolate bar. And I remember at his funeral, we would talk about that and all the different generations talking about the different kind of candy or chocolate bar or whatever they got. I guess as years went on, they got the little wagon wheels. When I was a kid, it was the mint Arrow bars. That's the one that sticks in my head. Every time I take a bite of it, I remember Ralph. Like, it just crystal clear. I can't look at or take a bite of a mint Arrow bar and not think of him, because to me, that's what he was known for. Now, obviously, we're talking about candy right now, but here's the scoop. We don't always get to pick what we're quote unquote known for. We can, and we will, but it doesn't mean that's what people will choose to know us for. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and she's like, yeah, like how Walmart's known for people who wear their pajamas to the store. I was like, oh, yeah, that's not part of their marketing, but you're right, And so that, I think, is a part of a bigger conversation. That's why I really want to continue that conversation over in the Facebook group on Friday, because I think it's going to be a super good back and forth of it. Again, I hear people, I really want to sell luxury. That's what I want to sell. But then when they get a luxury inquiry, they're like, oh my goodness, they're going to be so high maintenance. They're going to be so this, so that, so that. And then they're like, I don't think, why am I not getting luxury? Well, it's because you freak out when you got it. Why am I not getting this? Well, because your social is showing that you're this. Why can't I sell European river cruises? Well, everything about your website is completely beach vacation. What are you making yourself known for? What do you want to be known for? I would encourage you to reach out to somebody that you know in the industry. You could do this as a swap, like 2 advisors. Have them each, you review theirs, them review yours, go through and say, what do you think it is that I sell? Obviously, you don't want it to be somebody you know super well that's going to be able to be like, oh, well, you told me this. No, it needs to be somebody in the industry who doesn't necessarily know what you do. And then I want you to ask 5 people outside of the industry who don't necessarily know what it is. Like, it's not your immediate family, because of course they already know you and they know the conversations you have and things like that. Although it never hurts to ask them, because you might be shocked of the way you talk. You're actually pushing away the people you want to attract. And you might not even be aware of it. Because the other thing is, and we talked about this in, I think it was last week's Facebook Live, where somebody was, I think that's the one it was. But we were talking about the fact that, friends and family and this, that, the other, they all want to pick your brain. They all want to get this information. They all want to get this advice. They all want this, so that they can go book it online. And so the one thing I had said is, friends and family are fabulous until you want them to be a client. And then they're just not. You need to create that boundary. But they are incredible sources of referrals. So again, when you want to be known for something specific, you're going to want to make sure that your referral engine knows that that's what you are selling, that that's what you want to be known for, because otherwise they don't know who to send you. They don't know who to refer you to. Because I assure you, there will be times that your friends and are going to be asked, well, do you think they know how to do this? And out of the best intentions for you, because they don't want you to be set up for failure, they're going to be like, I don't know, you could ask, but I don't think so. I think this is what they like to do instead, or I think this is what they're better at. So if that's the case, are you giving them the right information? Because again, and I've talked about this, through the lives, through the podcast, things like that. We all have the best of intentions when we are working with our clients and whatnot, but somehow we end up finding ourselves venting. It can be as simple as, oh my goodness, I'm working with this family. And of course, you're not going to say anything about who the family is or anything, but you're going to be like, there were so many things that went wrong with this vacation to this big magical theme park, or there were so many things that went wrong with this, or they just had so many things. Oh, remind me, I'm never doing another destination wedding again. Well, what if the person that's asking them, hey, does your friend sell magical vacations? Does your friend do destination weddings? Does your friend do this, that, or the other? And they're like, oh, they used to, but I don't think they do that anymore. No, last time I was talking to them, they said they weren't ever going to do that again. What if when you're venting, you are losing what you want to be known for? The question you got to ask yourself is, what do you want to be known for? And if you want to be known for that, what does that experience for that type of client look like from beginning to end? Now, I know that there's a lot of travel advisors that listen to this podcast, and perhaps you might be one of them, that is really new to the industry, and you're really trying to find your foothold, and you're just not sure where to start. Well, the good news is a niche is never final. That's something to keep in the back of your mind. When you choose what you want to be known for, it is not necessarily until the end of all time. But you also want to make sure that it's not just an impulse of, oh, I see lots of people booking this, I should do that. There needs to be a thought out process as to why you chose that, how you chose that. Because once you get that engine being built up for being known for something, then it takes a long time to get that engine turned around in another direction. It will almost feel like you're starting over again when you're trying to shift directions. But what is the experience of working with you on that type of travel? It's really easy to be known for discounts and deals and everything else. But let's be honest, nobody wants to build a business based on discount, because you're not always going, well, okay, you're not always going to have the best deal, straight up. I do not care what a host agency told you. I do not care what whatever company told you. You are not always going to have the cheapest deal. So if that's what you want to be known for, you are in a race to the bottom. Maybe you want to be known for being the concierge of travel experiences, that you are known for the most detail-oriented itineraries. Maybe you want to be known for being in the luxury market. Maybe you want to be known for destination weddings in European castles. Maybe you want to be known for family vacation, like unforgettable family vacations. What do you want to be known for? Here is, I think, something, and as I'm saying this, my brain is sending me in a whole different direction. So this isn't on my notes, so bear with me. I'm realizing just right now while I'm talking that choosing your niche for a lot of people may be the very first time that you are deciding what you want to be known for. Whew. Okay, maybe that's not you, but that's hitting me in a different way. Okay, we will add that to the notes of what we talk with the therapist about at the next session. But really and truly, I am the quintessential middle child. I am, a farmer's daughter. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am all of these things that, yes, many of them were by choice, but some of them were just by circumstance or happenstance. When you are going out into the world, when I was building this business, not so much my travel business, but this business in particular, I have had to define who I am. Because when it wasn't as defined as it's getting to be now, and don't get me wrong, everything about what you want to be known for is going to continue to evolve, because as you grow as a human, you're also going to grow as a business owner, as a travel agency owner, as a travel business, as a travel advisor. because every ounce of experience and every ounce of story along the way is going to pivot that path a little bit. Ooh, there's that word nobody said they wanted to use again after 2020. But it's going to help mold you into who and what you're going to become. This actually becomes part of a bigger story. What do you want to be known for? I want to be known as the go-to person to help the travel advisor community to be able to grow into profitable businesses that are filled with excitement so that you have the energy to get past the lower parts too. I want to be known for being able to help you sell no matter what the obstacle. I want to be known for being the ultimate authority in travel advisor education for the travel advisor community. My question is, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be the go-to for? What about your past makes you the go-to? I have visions of writing a book one day, and when once I get this next massive project out the door and rolling like a well-oiled machine, I think I'm actually gonna have to start writing it, and I've always laughed that I was going to call it, "I sure screwed that up." To me, that's what makes me absolutely untouchable compared to so many of the other coaches, if you will, in the travel industry, because so few have actually ever sold travel or owned their own travel agency. I started at the ground up applying to a unknown ad. It was for a receptionist in a busy downtown office in a small town. I had absolutely no idea what business I had applied to until they called me in for my interview. That's how I got started in the travel industry. And I started off doing reception and doing their books, doing, and I had no clue how to do books. I should not have been the person that was doing that, especially on the first day. I had to do their sales tax reconciliation on my very first morning. I remember going for lunch that first day and thinking, what have I done? But within a year, I was becoming a travel advisor and I worked my way all the way up. I was there for many years. I was actually supposed to buy that office, but it didn't work out. We couldn't settle on an appropriate price. So I went off and I opened my own brick and mortar agency in another town. And I had gone in with a franchise so that I could have better positioning. And I spent in excess of 6 figures in marketing. I can tell you all the ways stuff does not work, at the same time of being able to tell you some of the things that do. And the things that you have to be willing to put yourself out there. That's what I want to be known for. Because I don't have the big fancy degrees, but I have the education that life and business have taught me. I don't have the big fancy titles and this, that, the other, but that's okay because life gave me some pretty fabulous titles along the way. I want to be known for somebody who actually understands what the struggles are. It's one thing, this I think is my frustration with some of the ones that are out there. They know how to market to you. They don't know how to market travel. So when they say just do what we're doing, it doesn't work because that's not how you can't call a travel client the same way you can call a travel agent into your sphere. If you are struggling with what you want to be known for, it's going to be a struggle for your clients to be able to explain it. Choosing what you want to be known for is a gift. And I know it seems really overwhelming at times because immediately somebody's like, well, then that's going to determine your service fees. That's going to determine your brand colors. Is going to determine all the. I'm going to say it starts one step closer. Because when you decide what it is that you want to be known for, something inside you needs to shift a little. Because there's a lot of times we say we want to be known for luxury because we're going to make money, because those have got to be the better clients, because that's what everybody tells us we should be doing and this, that, the other. But we have to internally be prepared to handle a luxury client, to work with a luxury client, to not be intimidated by a luxury client, and more importantly, to be okay with making money. Doesn't that seem funny? But yet I see it in my coaching, particularly in my current paid program. Travel advisors it's two sets of thought processes. Yes, they're going to spend all this money on the trip, but could I really put that much of a markup on there? Could I really ask that much of a service fee? Could I really do all of this? And while so many will tell you that picking your niche is the easy part, I'm also going to tell you picking what you want to be known for and living the pattern, living the life, living the steps that it takes to actually be known for that can be a whole lot harder. A good friend of mine is known for sustainable tourism. Well, if she wasn't somebody who believed in sustainability at her own home, in the farm to table, in making the planet better here, how is that going to be something that she could do there? How can you have it in one way but not the other? And how does that determine everything that you talk about, everything that you look for? Because when you're known for something, it allows you to say no to so many shiny objects. Remember how I said I've spent more than 6 figures in marketing, and I bet you almost all of it was a fail because I was just trying to be known. I wasn't focused on what I wanted to be known for. And when it's just about being known, guess what? You add to the noise, which means you're not going to find clients because nobody knows who you are. You're just part of the noise. Nobody knows what you do. Nobody knows how you operate. Nobody knows what your purpose is. And when I go back to that Facebook group and I see people as they're coming in, I personally read every single obstacle that comes in. That to me is where I get so much gold to be able to help you going forward. There's so many that are having problems finding clients willing to spend money because they all think it should be cheap. So many are having facing the obstacle of how do people even see that they need to use a travel advisor? How do I get them to want to use a travel advisor? When you're known for something, so many of those barriers fall away. And I know it sounds easier said than done. And in a lot of ways, it is easier said. Everything in business is easier said. But I want you to think long and hard about what do you want to be known for? And if you already know what you want to be known for, I want you to reach out to people in your immediate circle, on the outside of your circle who maybe don't know you. And I'd love for you to reach out to somebody else within the community, within the travel advisor community, and have them go through what you're putting out. Have a conversation with them and just say, what do you think I'm known for? Because the answers might surprise you. And better yet, the answers might be that golden nugget you're looking for. I'm just in the process of building out a new website for a brand new program that we're launching. Well, it's not a program, but oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm going to burst very soon. You better be in the Facebook group because that's who's going to hear about it first. But we've got something amazing coming in 2024, and it will actually be coming to the podcast. I'm so freaking excited. But I w- are yeah, I'm building out a new website for this. So trying to come up with the copy, trying to come up with all the things and this, that, the other that goes with it. I know what it's like to stare at that blinking cursor. But that's where hearing the obstacles, hearing it from the mouths of the most amazing travel advisors in the community who were willing to share those obstacles, is not only going to let me help them even better, but it also helps me to know what it is that they want to hear, to know what it is that they say. I read all of the reviews that come in on the podcast. If you haven't left us a 5-star review, please do so. If you don't think it's worth a 5-star review, please send me a message. I would love to hear your feedback. But I read those because to me, it's what you say. When I do a keynote and I get back the comments that are sent in by the attendees, that lets me know when we've hit the right mark. Because if all the comments come back and they had nothing to do with what I was talking about or nothing to do with what I stand for, I know that we have a misconnect. So I encourage you to do an audit of what you've got going on out there. If you're doing consumer events, what is it people are saying? Are they showing up? What does that look like? And in fact, next week on the podcast, we're going to touch on consumer events and some of the best ones I've done over the years, and some of the things that I see as not having worked and why they didn't work, and why some of them worked incredibly well and why others fell flat. So I'm going to share that with you next week on the podcast. But until then, if you're not already in the Facebook group, come join us. Otherwise, stay tuned. We are going to continue this conversation inside the group, and I can't wait to see you there. See you next week.